3 weeks before Diablo 4's launch, Blizzard announced the Hardcore 100 race. The first 1,000 people to reach max level in Hardcore would be immortalized on a giant statue of Lilith at their headquarters. I was on the fence about what I wanted to play at first, but this solidified my decision. The dream was to be on that statue. But that meant I needed to reach max level without ever dying, since dying in Hardcore Diablo resulted in the character being deleted, gone forever. There was no safety net. The game crashed, the servers crash, you misplay, everything is deleted. With that being said, I chose Rogue and said, bring it on. The start was a little slow. Rogue is well known for its speed, one of the fastest levelers in the game. But early on, I'm just a turtle like everybody else. I had pre-planned my route and wanted to play Twisting Blades since I could get most of the good legendary abilities for it quickly. But Twisting Blades without its legendary aspects is terrible. And since I played some Rogue in the beta as well, I knew Rapid Fire would be better till I got those legendary aspects. I battled my way through the first few levels and dungeon and fought my first boss, Exfald the Scarred Baron.
3 weeks later.
After what seemed like forever, he finally fell to my left-clicking prowess, and I earned my second skill, Rapid Fire. Once I got through the opening tutorial and got to the main town of Kiovashad, I teamed up with my duo buddy Dahl and we battled through the campaign. We initially had a third friend, but unfortunately due to game issues, we had to do the campaign separately. Going through Act 1 was pretty quick and painless since we both had done it in the beta, and within a couple hours we were battling the final act boss, Lilith's Lament, and we collected our first legendary item.
Sometimes you get a legendary from this. Yep, there we go.
Oh, I did. Actually.
Yeah, I got an amulet.
We continued through the campaign and completed some side dungeons that held legendary aspects that were important for our builds. I switched to Twisting Blades and left Rapid Fire behind since I now had the correct setup to make it a strong ability. Everything was going smooth, even though we were in new content we hadn't seen before. We felt safe because we were still on World Tier 1, the lowest of the difficulties. But even clearing these dungeons on World Tier 1 was more risky than we thought, because of server issues and disconnects. Losing a character to something totally out of your control actually hurts more than being the person to misplay and cause your character to die. Thankfully, luck was on our side and the hardcore dream wasn't cut short just yet. In Act 4, we took on Endariel, Maiden of Anguish, which we promptly killed since World Tier 1 was still relatively safe for us, at least we thought, and we both had a good amount of experience playing our characters and builds at this point. But the campaign wasn't even done yet, and we already were having close calls.
Yeah.
Oh! Oh! Into Act 5 we went, a bit underleveled for speeding through the campaign, but confident as we ran into Ashava the Pestilent, a mini version of the Ashava world boss with the same mechanics, but a few NPCs were there to help us with it. Due to our time in the beta, we had seen this boss many times and we knew the mechanics and were pretty comfortable with it.
Move out of the way. Oh, that's not. That's my poison. That's his poison. Holy fuck.
Dude, like, I don't know. Bunch of pussies in the chat, that's all I'm gonna say.
We made quick work of Ashava and continued our struggle through hell into the final boss of the game, Lilith, creator of Sanctuary. We didn't know it at the time, but if we got stuck on the wrong side of her platform-destroying move, it would be a one-hit instant kill.
You're still hitting her. You're hitting her minions.
I was hitting the minions, but I'm back on her. Okay, well.
Yeah, that seems about right.
Okay, what do those do?
I don't want to stand near him.
Okay, so she like corrupts the room.
Okay.
What side do we go? Okay.
I don't be on that side. Whatever that was, I did not want to be over there.
Here.
Oh, yep.
I have cooldowns for after this phase ends.
She's not close to being staggered yet, though. Okay.
This is a pretty cool boss fight.
That's gotta be it. We're down to like no stadium. Okay. You can watch it. You're safe. Listen.
Oh, yeah, whatever. Skip. 2 legendaries.
And a unique ring.
Yeah, unique ring. Mother's Embrace.
If Course Kill hits 5 or more enemies, 25% of the resource cost is refunded.
After beating Lilith, we thought we were invincible. After all, she was the final boss of the game. But we were wrong. The Stronghold boss proved to be too much, and my race to be one of the first level 100s had ended. I lost my character I spent the last 10 hours playing non-stop, and I went to bed depressed that I had failed. But I knew it wasn't over. Surely tons of people would die while attempting this hardcore dream. I knew I had to come back stronger and smarter. Rogue number 2 was born, and I started off by skipping the campaign since if you completed it once before, you could skip it. I went straight to the Tree of Whispers and started leveling back up. The tree was unlocked also once you complete the campaign. This time it only took about 8 hours to reach level 50, and I had no one to boost me because my friend Dahl unfortunately died to a DC 1 hour after I died. Not to mention I didn't want to inconvenience anyone that I knew and slow them down of reaching their goal of max level as well. But Dahl also remade a character, and we pushed up to level 48 and tried our luck with the Capstone Dungeon to unlock World Tier 3, where the XP was much better, but the monsters were much more lethal. Now, the Curator, the boss of the Capstone Dungeon, was definitely a heavy hitter, but this new rogue was prioritizing a lot of damage reduction. I was not going to let something kill me again. Going up a world tier made things more difficult, but it did hold Sacred Gear, which was certainly a power boost that we needed. The only issue was the initial start of getting into that new world difficulty. I strategized and came up with prioritizing Hell Tides while using potions of escape death. So if something were to deal lethal damage to me, my potion would proc and give me 2 seconds to get out of there with my life. Although being totally new to Hell Tides, I was a little scared of what I would find within them. Oh, this is a real boss. Holy shit. That's a 70 fucking 2. What in the fuck? I had no idea I could find something 20 levels higher than me in the Helltide. Even the world bosses weren't that far above me. But I wasn't going to be a complete wimp and avoid the world bosses either, so I decided to knock the difficulty down to World Tier 1 and go take them on. The XP was pretty much irrelevant anyway because they never gave good XP, but I was there because, they have some cool cosmetics that could drop along with some decent legendary aspects with good rolls, and those could be used while I'm leveling up if I find new gear that I would need to replace.
Ooh, getting away from that. Get away from that. Pull defenses up.
Of course, along the journey, I found the Butcher quite a few times. But once my build and my tankiness was set up, he really didn't pose any threat. He became more of a nuisance than anything, to be honest. He would waste a bit of time and usually just drop one bad legendary. But needless to say, Rogue number 2 is much tankier than Rogue number 1. The large amounts of damage reduction and maximum life that I was putting on my gear was paying off drastically.
Holy shit.
Sadly, at this point in my journey, my friend Dahl had passed away on his second character and left me to fend for myself. At level 58, I found my first ever unique out in the world, which was awesome, but I soon discovered that pretty much all the uniques were completely useless for my character and build, except for, of course, the mega rare uniques, which were like 1 in a million hours played. And I really wasn't going to bank on getting one of those. So I stuck with my goal of building super tanky and continued to do Hell Tides in World Tier 3. It was by far one of the best ways to get continually higher item level sacred gear when opening the chests, and of course, once I had a few more levels on my belt, I took on the Hell Tide boss again and got my revenge. Although, it really wasn't worth it. The Forgotten Souls were the only thing good that he dropped, and everything else was pretty underwhelming. After some dungeon grinding, mostly Champion's Demise at the time, I got up to level 69, and I felt like it was time to try and enter World Tier 4, the final difficulty and the best XP rates in the game. But I had to take on the Capstone dungeon, and I was a bit scared of it. I didn't want to lose all my progress, and even though my super tanky character was working out now, I wasn't sure when my defense would start to crumble. Is it okay to stand inside of this? Potion. What the hell? Well, he died. Thankfully, I did a lot of damage to him. That guy was kind of scary. He had some abilities. I was trying to jump around. My defense held up, but let's be honest, I was carried by my damage, and with that, I entered World Tier 4 and met up with my friend Aladdin. Sadly, the Diablo 4 endgame content is pretty lackluster. Nightmare dungeons were really bad XP, the Tree of Whispers were even worse XP than that, so we buckled down and did all there was to do. Dungeon spam. At the time, Blind Burrows was the best. We knew our time was limited and the available slots were filling up by the minute. We tried to speed through as many Blind Burrows as we could, but the poison spiders in there were terrifying to me on Rogue. They would poison me for half my health at times. I had duplicate pieces of gear with the exact same rolls, and except for the resistance, and I would have things rolled to poison resistance. I would respec a few points, reducing damage from overtime effects. I would re-gem gear for poison resistance, reduce damage over time. I would use elixirs of poison resistance. I did everything I could to make it as safe as possible. If you were to look at my gear with no diminishing return, I had somewhere in the neighborhood of 250 poison resistance on my armor. Over the next 4 days, we completed somewhere around 600 runs of Blind Burrows. Each level, my defense grew weaker since armor value diminishes as you level up. Also, the longer I'd play for, the more complacent I would get. When you're 10 to 12 hours in on a gaming session, you're almost on autopilot, but that autopilot can crash, and 150 hours invested into your character are gone in an instant, along with the dream to be on the statue. Only the first 1,000 people to reach level 100 would make the cut, and a death now would certainly result in a complete failure. Oh, no way! There's no way! Oh, there we go! Feet of the champion. Tempered champion. Where is it? Tempered champion. Confirm. Done. The final stats. The dream had been achieved. It was a long grind. The super tank rogue went the distance. I dodged the server disconnects and game crashes, and my name was confirmed to be on the Statue of Lilith. 150 hours of game time, along with even more time pre-planning and testing from the beta. Now, all there is to do is fly out and see the statue in person.